illegal migration. And I have many videos talking about how when you allow millions of people who are not, classically educated, right? They don't have a degree from something. When they come in, the jobs that they take are blue collar jobs. I have multiple members of my family that have criminal records. They need blue collar jobs. If you look at the results of the mass deportation acts, Black men are getting jobs in trucking. They're getting jobs in home improvement. They're getting jobs in moving and storage.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So glad you pulled up today because this one is a conversation. We've got a room full of Black women sitting down across the political divide, conservatives and liberals face to face, digging into one of the most personal questions out there. What's actually best for the Black community? It gets real when one side demands to know how anyone could support this administration, and the answers that come back are sharper and more specific than anyone expected. Faith, family, jobs, history, it all comes up and nobody backs down. Stick around all the way through because the back half is where the strongest points land and you do not want to miss how it builds. And before we get going, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from right now. I genuinely love seeing how far this channel reaches. All right, let's get into it.
For myself, to the prompt of how we are perceived or received, I should say, one thing that I've noticed personally, as you like to say, I talk to people directly, you said this. What I've noticed is that a lot of Black people immediately judge me because I say I'm a conservative. They assume that I'm anti-immigrant. They assume that I don't want, I want to be white. All of these crazy things that I'm in the comments of my, you guys know. The comments are just crazy what they assume about me. But once they start speaking to me, as you all saw, you'll learn that I am pro-Black. I do want the best for us. But what I've learned also is that when I speak to people directly, a lot of Black people that think that they're Democrats are actually closeted conservatives. And that's going back to my point way at the beginning. We have conservative values overall. We do love, family values, et cetera. And people are no longer comfortable having conversations. And I have to say that a lot of this is, in my opinion, because of the left being very, not just, cancel culture and almost violent sometimes to people when they say they're, hello, yeah. Yeah. There is a discomfort when it comes to having these conversations. So I'm really happy we've been able to do this. But as far as perception, I think that we would all agree that, people immediately assume things about us that probably just aren't true.
When it comes to the prompt, I think something that's really important is we often call the Democrat Party the Democrat plantation because, and it's true, but the reason why is because of this sense of ownership that both the Democrat Party and the Black community have over Black people, both of our minds and how we conduct ourselves, who we are in our religion, and all these other aspects of who we are. Often, I think we're on the internet, we get our comments of people saying that we're traitors to our community, we want the worst for our community, we're trying to be in white alignment, we're trying to be white, we want to find our white saviors and all of these. I mean, that's truly the tip of the iceberg. But the hate we receive from our own community when really we just want us to be better and to see our full potential is so disappointing.
And, can I ask a question regarding that? Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying, and again, there's a lot of things that we agree on. However, I don't hear you all saying how your party is helping the Black community, number one.
I'm not in a party.
Or okay, so
yeah.
but we're talking Republican, we're talking liberal versus conservative. How has the conservative party, and specifically this administration, benefited us, number one? And two, help me understand, because I genuinely came here with this question, specifically for Black women. How can you allow this man in the office to represent you? Please help me understand.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the part that so many people miss, and I need you to really sit with it. When this woman calmly explains that a lot of Black folks who swear they're Democrats are actually closeted conservatives, she's not throwing shade. She's describing something real that happens at every dinner table, every barbershop, every family reunion. You have people who believe in tight family structure, hard work, faith, personal responsibility, and self-reliance, and then they walk into a voting booth and pull the opposite lever because that's what they've always done. That gap right there, that's the whole conversation. And here's what blows my mind. The moment she brought up the Democrat plantation framing, you could feel the temperature in the room shift. Now I get why that phrase lands hard. But let me break down why she's even reaching for it. Her point is about ownership. The idea that a political party feels entitled to an entire community's loyalty, no questions asked, no performance required. When any group's vote is treated as guaranteed, that group loses leverage. Politicians stop competing for you. They start taking you for granted. That's just basic strategy. You have to understand something about loyalty in politics. The second a party knows it already has you, you become invisible to them. Your problems go to the back of the line because they don't have to earn you back. The most powerful position a voter can hold is being genuinely up for grabs. That's when people fight for your needs. And then the other side fires back with the question everyone was waiting for. She looks right at them and asks, how can you allow this man in the office to represent you? Please help me understand. That's the gauntlet. That's the challenge that the whole rest of this clip is built on. And what comes next is exactly why I respect these women for sitting down and actually answering it.
Of course, a couple of things that he did in his first term where, he was being called racist, all of a sudden all these people like Oprah, they loved him, and then he started running as a Republican, and now he's this racist white man that hates black people. I mean, he's the one who permanently funded HBCUs and minority institutions. Why in the world would a man who hates black people want to give funding to something that is such, I've been on HBCUs. I am so glad that our community has something like that where people can grow and thrive in somewhere, around people that look like us, right? The First Step Act, helping people after they've gotten out of prison to re-enter society rather than just being plopped back out on the street.
People such as those few celebrities, or is this something that...
minority individuals. I mean, mainly black people.
Okay.
Those are just a couple of things. I mean, why
That's
would a
first administration.
racist? Why?
Do you think he's the same
Why would a
as this
racist?
from the first to this?
I mean, if he was going to ruin America, he would have done it in his first term. I don't know why everybody thinks like, oh, now Trump is really going to ruin
did it
America.
before he even stepped in that
why would a
office.
racist hold a Black History Month celebration this past February? Where
Why is he
invited
dismantling
all of
it now?
Well, I don't agree that he's dismantling it, and that's where we
This
disagree.
just happened this
Everything you
week.
I think
love
he's
about-
just trying to make history.
happened
That's
this
what
week.
I think.
He's trying to what?
He's a megalomaniac that's trying to make history. He just wants to be, if he can't be the best president, he's going to be the worst president.
But I want to know what what the Democrat Party is in for you. I named a few things. The Conservative Party mainly stands against the black genocide, which is abortion. I mean, black women are less than 40% of the population, yet we're less than 13% of the population.
Oh my gosh. I guess here's my question then, because you've said a lot of things that I agree with, but my question is, I guess, do you think that segregation should have stayed?
What?
I'm asking, no, the reason I'm asking just in general, the reason I'm asking is because when we were segregated, it seemed like you were saying this, and if I'm misunderstanding, please tell me. When we were segregated, we did have our own infrastructure, we did have our own internal economy, we had all these things. So and then you said that, a lot of the black community tried to assimilate, integrate, get what white people wanted. But do you think that the black community was more successful when segregation was in
I don't
play?
think I know. I know that is statistically factual. We had more homeowners. We
Did we
had
have
more
access to the same
entrepreneurs.
resources?
Hold
Because
on.
that was the whole point of integration.
No, hold on. We had more homeowners, more entrepreneurs. We had more families that were sticking together, higher marriages. We did not abort our babies as much. We did not do as many drugs. So literally, statistically, we were doing better as people. Now, it's
The government fucked us.
agreed. Now,
And this is the answer that the other side did not expect. Because instead of getting flustered, she goes straight to receipts. She points out that he permanently funded HBCUs and minority institutions. Let me sit on that for a second, because this is the part people don't realize. Permanent funding for historically black colleges is not a small thing. These schools have spent decades fighting year to year, never knowing if the money would be there. Locking that in is generational, and her logic is razor sharp. Why would someone who supposedly hates an entire community guarantee the survival of that community's universities? Then she brings up the First Step Act, helping people re-enter society after prison instead of getting dumped back on the street with nothing. And here's what I want you to actually think about. Re-entry is where the system has failed people for years. You serve your time, you come out, and there's no bridge back into normal life, so people end up right back where they started. A policy that builds that bridge directly helps families that have been hit hardest by incarceration. That's not abstract. That's somebody's brother coming home with a real shot. And then she drops the line that I think is genuinely unanswerable. She says if he was going to ruin America, he would have done it in his first term. Think about that for a second. You can't claim someone is an existential threat and admit they already had 4 years where the country kept running. Pick one. But the moment that really got me was the pivot to history. When the other side tried to corner her on segregation, she didn't flinch. She said we had more homeowners, more entrepreneurs, more families sticking together, higher marriages. Now here's the historical context people forget. Black communities in the early 20th century built entire self-sustaining economies. Tulsa's Greenwood district was so prosperous it was called Black Wall Street, with its own banks, hotels, and businesses, all black-owned. Her point isn't pro-segregation. It's that black excellence was built internally by the community itself long before any program promised to save it. And the other side's response? Agreed.
I want to go to your point about what did the Conservative Party right now, what are they doing? One thing that no one's mentioned in this is illegal migration. And I have many videos talking about how when you allow millions of people who are not, classically educated, right? They don't have a degree from something. When they come in, the jobs that they take are blue collar jobs. I have multiple members of my family that have criminal records. They need blue collar jobs. If you look at the results of the mass deportation acts, Black men are getting jobs in trucking. They're getting jobs in home improvement. They're getting jobs in moving and storage. This is a fact that was direct. And I just was talking to her about this outside. They are taking low cost rental apartments. I'm a real estate agent. I did the math on this. In New York City, I'm in New York City. There are 100,000 homeless people in New York City. There are 600,000 illegal migrants in New York City. There's 20% of the illegal migrants are living in apartments, right? So that's, if you do those quick numbers, that's 120,000 or 120,000 apartments being taken up that could be going to the 100,000 homeless people. And of the homeless people, 60% of them are illegal migrants. So the reality is we need to talk about this and how that sector of the population coming here is affecting especially low-income Black and brown people. Also, abortion needs to be mentioned because the reality is as we abort more of our Black babies, we become or keep staying a lower minority in this country. There are somewhere around 400,000 Black babies aborted every year, not just babies. There's 1 million abortions every year. There's 400,000 Black babies aborted every year. Black people only make up 13% of the entire US population. So if we kept 1 million people every 2 years, we would literally stop being a minority in this country in the course of 10 years.
And here is where she goes from defense to total offense. And nobody in that room had a counter. Because she does something most people in these debates never do. She brings actual math. She's a real estate agent, she did the numbers herself, and she lays out how illegal migration directly squeezes the very people everyone claims to care about. When she explains that Black men are now getting jobs in trucking, home improvement, moving, and storage, she's pointing at something nobody wants to say out loud. The bottom of the labor market is where competition hits hardest. When you flood that market, the people who get undercut first are working class folks who needed those jobs to climb. And this is the part that I think is genuinely brilliant. She's not speaking in slogans. She's speaking as someone who works in housing every single day and watched the supply get eaten up. Her whole argument is that low-cost rental units, the exact ones that working families and people getting back on their feet depend on, are being absorbed. When she points out that a huge share of the homeless population is being overlooked while resources flow elsewhere, that's not cruelty. That's asking why the most vulnerable citizens keep getting pushed to the back of the line in their own city. You have to understand what makes this so effective. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't insult anybody. She just laid out a chain of cause and effect that the other side could not break. And that is the difference between a talking point and an argument. A talking point makes you feel something. An argument makes you unable to respond. This was the second kind. What I keep coming back to is how these women showed up, took the hardest question in the room, and answered it with specifics instead of emotion. You don't have to agree with every single thing they said. But you cannot say they didn't bring substance. They came ready, they stayed composed, and they made the other side say the one word that says it all. Agreed. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.